Hello and welcome back. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today, because we are about to completely reframe how you view what is, honestly, arguably, the most underrated, overlooked activity in human health. We're talking about the simple, everyday act of stretching. We live in this fitness culture that constantly tells us we need to prioritize lifting heavier weights, running faster miles, or just pushing our bodies to the absolute physical limit. And in the middle of all that intense exertion, we completely ignore the foundational framework that actually allows us to do those things safely in the first place. For a lot of us, stretching just feels like a chore, right? It's that thing we lazily do for 30 seconds before a jog, or something we promise ourselves we'll totally start doing next Monday. But today in this explainer, we are going to look at the hard, evidence-based research that reveals stretching is a massive, real-deal, life-altering practice. So, get comfortable, settle in, and let's unlock the lifelong benefits of this fundamental practice together. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. Why we need stretching. 2. Flexibility versus mobility. 3. Perfecting your posture. 4. The mental wellness connection. And 5. Your daily stretching routine. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Is stretching just a chore for athletes, or is it the ultimate fountain of youth for our aging muscles? We really need to challenge the myth that stretching is merely an optional warm-up. Why do so many of us view it as a chore? Well, usually it's because it doesn't give us that immediate dopamine hit of a heavy deadlift or the runner's high of a sprint. It requires patience, it's quiet. But, as we'll see from the data, treating stretching as just an extra rather than a core pillar of your health is pretty much a guaranteed recipe for long-term physical restriction and chronic pain.
That brings us to Section 1, Why we need stretching. The core pillars of health. So let's be real. Modern life is essentially a masterclass in bodily restriction. We sit at desks all day, we hunch over our phones, and our muscles respond by getting incredibly tight. We desperately need a targeted antidote to this modern physical ailment. I want you to think of your muscles as rubber bands. As we age, if we don't actively maintain them, these bands naturally tighten up and shorten. Think about that extremely common feeling of waking up in the morning and feeling incredibly stiff when you try to get out of bed. That is your muscle tissue literally adapting to a shortened state. And this lack of optimal muscle condition, it absolutely destroys proper movement patterns. When those muscles are tight and restricted, you significantly increase your risk of strains, tears, and joint pain simply because the rubber band has lost its elasticity. Stretching acts as a literal antidote here. It keeps your muscles lean, long, and flexible, directly counteracting the aging process and safeguarding your body so you can maintain your independence well into your later years.
But here's the thing. The physical mechanics are just the beginning. Improved circulation, enhanced range of motion, nervous system regulation, and cardiovascular support are massive benefits. Now, most people literally never associate stretching with their heart, right? It sounds crazy. But research indicates that consistent stretching practices can actually help lower your blood pressure and improve your arterial health. How does that actually work in practice? Well, as you stretch a muscle, you are physically pulling on the blood vessels running through that tissue. This action reduces arterial stiffness, meaning your blood vessels literally become more elastic and capable of expanding. This decreases the resistance your heart has to pump against, lowering your overall blood pressure. By simply pulling on a muscle, you're actively increasing blood flow, delivering essential oxygen, and removing metabolic waste. You are actively supporting your cardiovascular function to reduce overall disease risk. It is a profoundly powerful physiological response.
Stretching activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, I want you to just notice your own body right now. Are your shoulders creeping up towards your ears? Is your jaw clenched? Are you taking shallow, rapid breaths? We spend almost our entire day in a sympathetic state. That's your body's fight-or-flight stress response. It's meant for escaping danger, but modern life keeps it constantly switched on. The gentle, sustained pressure of stretching, combined with deep breathing, acts as a biological override switch. It actively forces your nervous system to switch gears into the parasympathetic state, otherwise known as your rest and digest mode. This is where your body actually repairs tissue, digests food properly, and brings your baseline heart rate way down. It promotes a deep physiological relaxation that you simply cannot get by just crashing on the couch and scrolling on your phone.
Moving right along to Section 2, Flexibility versus mobility, clearing the confusion. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these two terms are thrown around interchangeably in fitness spaces all the time, but anatomically speaking, they mean very different things. Let's clearly define flexibility first. Flexibility refers specifically to the ability of your muscles to lengthen and stretch. It's all about the muscle tissue itself. When you look at a muscle at a microscopic level, you have these overlapping protein filaments. Stretching trains these filaments to slide apart smoothly and allows the surrounding connective tissue to elongate.
When you have good flexibility, your muscles can extend to their absolute full length without any resistance and without discomfort. This is absolutely crucial because it allows your muscles to relax and contract efficiently through their complete range, which supports proper biomechanics and stops your body from holding on to unnecessary tension.
Contrast that directly with mobility. Mobility encompasses the ability of your joints to move freely through their intended ranges of motion. This is the much bigger picture. It involves muscle flexibility, yes, but it also heavily relies on healthy joint structures, balanced muscle activity, and incredibly importantly, proper neural control from your brain. See, your nervous system is constantly monitoring your joints. If your brain senses that a joint is weak or unstable at a certain angle, it will literally lock down the surrounding muscles to prevent you from moving into that range. It's a built-in protective mechanism. So building mobility isn't just about making tissues longer, it's about convincing your brain that you are strong and safe enough to control your body in those deep ranges of motion.
When we put these concepts side by side, we quickly realize why both matter so much. Flexibility is the length of the muscle. Mobility is the freedom and control of the joint. Both naturally decline as we age and as we experience periods of inactivity. Regular stretching is proven to significantly slow this decline. Think of the real-world application here to put it into perspective. Flexibility is what allows you to bend over passively and touch your toes. But mobility? Mobility is what allows you to safely and actively get yourself up out of a very low car seat without using your hands, relying entirely on your strength, balance, and joint freedom. Preserving both forms the absolute foundation for your lifelong physical capability.
Let's jump into Section 3, perfecting your posture, aligning your skeleton.
Seriously, I want you to evaluate how your shoulders and chest are sitting right now as you listen to this explainer. Are you rounded forward? Have you adopted that classic, slouched, goblin mode desk posture we are all so completely guilty of falling into? When certain muscles become tight, particularly your chest, the front of your shoulders, and your hip flexors from sitting all day, they act like incredibly tight cables. They create massive imbalances that literally pull your entire skeletal structure out of proper alignment. You can't simply tell yourself to stand up straight if your chest muscles are physically shortened and permanently pulling your shoulder blades forward. It just doesn't work. Regular stretching of these exact problem areas is anatomically required to release that tension and dramatically improve your posture.
The perks of fixing the skeletal alignment are absolutely huge. Regular stretching alleviates the tightness that pulls the spine out of its natural curvature. But perhaps the most vital benefit, and the one people miss the most, is how it impacts your breathing. When your posture is collapsed and hunched forward, your ribcage compresses downward. This physically prevents your diaphragm, which is your primary breathing muscle, from expanding fully. So you're left taking shallow, inefficient breaths that literally deprive your brain and body of optimal oxygen. By stretching your chest and correcting that alignment, you physically open up your chest cavity. You breathe deeper, you drastically reduce back, neck, and joint strain, and you naturally project a far more confident appearance. It's a total game changer.
Section 4, the mental wellness connection, the psychological impact.
You know, we often focus so heavily on the mechanical benefits of stretching, like joints and muscles, that we completely overlook the powerful psychological and emotional impact. The mind-body connection during stretching creates very real psychological benefits. The slow, intentional movements required to stretch properly act as a phenomenal form of moving meditation. And this is especially incredible for people who absolutely hate traditional sitting meditation. If sitting still with your eyes closed makes you feel anxious, stretching gives your body a physical task to focus on while your mind clears. By triggering that parasympathetic relaxation response we talked about earlier, research shows that regular stretching can significantly reduce your anxiety, vastly improve your mood, and drastically enhance the quality of your sleep.
Emotional release is a uniquely fascinating concept. Many people report that stretching actively helps them process deeply held emotions. The science behind this is just incredible. Stress, trauma, and anxiety are frequently stored in the body as literal physical tension. The psoas muscle in your hips, for example, is heavily linked to the body's fight-or-flight response. It tightens up whenever you are stressed. When you intentionally breathe deeply and release tension held in these deep body tissues, you are often facilitating a genuine emotional release. Actually, it's quite common for people to suddenly cry or feel an immense rush of mental relief during a deep hip or chest stretch. It is a comprehensive wellness practice that tackles both chronic physical discomfort and mental stress simultaneously.
Let's move to Section 5 and see how this all builds into your daily stretching routine. Mastering the how.
Breaking down the 4 main types of stretching, it becomes really clear they are not created equal. First, static stretching involves holding a position for 20 to 60 seconds. This is best done after workouts to increase flexibility and reduce tension. Next up, dynamic stretching involves active, controlled movements. This is your warm-up. It prepares the body for activity and improves mobility. Then there's PNF, which is a contract-relax technique usually done with a trainer for advanced flexibility. Finally, I want you to look at the bottom row, ballistic stretching. This involves bouncing or jerking movements. The data is incredibly clear on this. This is almost universally a terrible idea. Bouncing forces the muscle to stretch too far, too fast. This triggers a protective mechanism called the stretch reflex, which actually makes the muscle tighten up more to prevent tearing. Ballistic stretching causes micro tears, carries a really high injury risk, and honestly defeats the entire purpose of the exercise.
So how do we apply the right techniques safely? Here is a brilliant, simple routine progression, and I want to reassure you right now, gaining all these life-changing cardiovascular, mental, and physical benefits does not require an hour of painful yoga every single day. Nobody has time for that. It is a manageable, highly effective, step-by-step protocol that literally anyone can integrate into their morning or evening. Let me guide you through these steps. Step 1 is the warm-up. Just 3 to 5 minutes of light cardio like marching in place or arm circles. This is absolutely critical. Think of your muscles like a piece of taffy. If you take a cold piece of taffy out of the fridge and yank on it, it snaps and breaks. But if you warm it up in your hands first, it stretches smoothly and safely. Never stretch cold muscles. Step 2 is the full body sequence, spending 10 to 15 minutes systematically moving from your neck all the way down to your calves. Step 3 is proper technique. Hold those static stretches for 20 to 30 seconds without bouncing. You must breathe deeply, exhaling to deepen the stretch, and aiming for tension, not pain. And step 4 is daily consistency. Perform your dynamic stretches in the morning to energize and your static stretches in the evening to release the day's tension. Consistency really truly is the key here. Just 5 to 10 minutes of daily stretching directly correlates with maintained mobility, better balance, and lifelong independence. Studies overwhelmingly show that flexible adults experience drastically fewer falls, which, as we know, is one of the leading causes of severe health decline in older age. Paint a picture in your mind of what independence in your later years actually looks like. It means getting down on the floor to play with your grandkids without wincing in pain. It means traveling and easily hoisting your own bag into the overhead bin. It means living life completely on your own terms without needing physical assistance. When you stretch, you are quite literally investing in your future autonomy.
I want to leave you with this. Remember that stretching is a journey, not a destination. Your future self will thank you for the gift of a more mobile, comfortable, and capable body. Begin exactly at your current level of flexibility today and gradually progress, because exploring this topic leaves you with one vital, undeniable question to think about. What physical limitations are you currently accepting as just a normal part of aging that a simple 10-minute stretch could cure today?